Hey, good morning, everybody. Thank you for tuning in this morning. And let me get right to it. So, I asked you the other day, who is the God that you pray to? And just talked about God and how, and God really is incredible. And God is a miracle worker, even in the common. Let me see if I can explain that. I ran across this passage in Job. It's in Job chapter 5, and it starts in verse 8. And the reason it kind of caught my interest is because it kind of says, what I asked, who are you praying to? Who are you committing things to? He says, but as for me, he says, I would seek God, and to God I would commit my cause, who does great things and unsearchable. He said, here's this God who does great and unsearchable things. He does marvelous things without number. And then verse 10, he gives rain on the earth and sends waters on the field. And so, he had me with, he does unsearchable things. He does marvelous things. And then it said he sends rain on the earth and waters the fields. And your first thought is, you know what, if Job only knew, he wouldn't write that if he really understood, like we understood about rain. And so let me ask you this, though. Is it really not a miracle, the rain? Is the rain coming just because we kind of know how rain happens? Does that make it any less of a miracle? Or is it even that we really don't know how it happens, but rain is just so common that we don't see it as a miracle? Now let me just throw this out there and look, I'm not a smart guy, I'm not real intelligent, but I read a lot and I know how to study and I know how to read, and so I can find some things out. But just pretend that you're a farmer in the Middle East, all right? And you are far away from any kind of water, any kind of rivers, any kind of streams. You have a well, but that well really only gives water to your animals. It's not enough to water crops so that you can grow. What are you going to do? Well, so God says, well, I'm going to make water fall out of the sky. Really? Water's going to fall out of the sky. Yeah. Well, think about this. 1 inch of rain, 1 square mile. Okay? 1 inch of rain, 1 square mile. 17,377,536 gallons. 1 inch, 1 square mile. And you know how much that weighs? 144,735,360 pounds. 1 inch of water, 1 square mile. So literally, when we're talking about sending rain upon an area of land, we're talking about billions of gallons of water that weigh billions of pounds. And I don't have a lot of time left. And and it's going to fall out of the sky. How's it get there? Well, hundreds of miles away in the Mediterranean Sea, it's going to come from there. It's going to come from there. It's going to go up into the sky. It's going to come to where you are as a farmer, and it's going to fall out of the sky. Well, but that water's salt water. Well, I know, but in this process, it's going to filter out the salt. All right. Well, how is this billions of gallons and billions of pounds of water going to get up into the sky? Well, in a weird sort of way, and I may be technically, scientifically saying this wrong, but in a weird sort of way, it has to stop being water just for a brief period of time so that it can go, we call it evaporation, right? So that it can go up into the atmosphere and it can go into the sky, and so that it can be carried. So this is going to it's going to be filter out the salt, it's going to stop being water, it's going to get up into the sky, and then it's going to float over in the sky hundreds of miles over to where you are, to where it can finally drop. Well, it's got to turn back into water. Well, how does it turn back into water? Well, it's this process called evaporation. And these little things up there, and they gather around little particles of dust, and they become little droplets of water. These little droplets float around, and they start bumping into each other. And because of a magnetic field, they can connect together, and they can become bigger and bigger and bigger. But think about this now. We're talking about billions and billions of pounds. It can't just pour out of the sky. If it just poured out of the sky, it would destroy your crops. It would destroy your earth. So these little droplets of water, they have to be big enough to fall so that they can't be held up. By the way, what's holding them up anyhow? They have to be big enough to fall and not evaporate before they hit the ground, but they have to be small enough so that they don't destroy your crops when they hit the ground. And there's this stuff called coalescence, and when they bump together, and what's holding them up. And you know what, y'all? It's a miracle. It's a miracle. And the God who can water your crops from the Mediterranean Sea with billions and billions of gallons and pounds of water is the same God who can take care of any problem that you have in your life. So as for me, I will seek God, and I will commit to God my cause, who does great things and unsearchable, marvelous things without number. He sends rain on the earth, and he sends water on the fields. Get out there and faith today. God bless you. Love you. Bye.